Dr. Frederick Field now will be known as one of Oregon's most notorious serial sex offenders. The bad doctor pleaded guilty to 11 counts of first-degree sex abuse and 1 count of first-degree rape in the Wasco County Court on September 18th. For 5 years, Field, an anesthesiologist, worked at the main hospital in the Dalles, the Mid-Columbia Medical Center. By sentencing Tuesday, 12 victims had come forward. The people that call the Dalles home have a good quality of life. They trust their friends, neighbors, and especially their doctors. Wasco County Chief Deputy District Attorney Leslie Wolf said the victims were touched inappropriately. One woman said Field forced her to have sexual intercourse in 2008.
Frederick Field is the one who did these actions to these women. These women were completely vulnerable. They did nothing wrong in this case. We ask the community to remember that and to start respecting and having compassion for them and their feelings at this time. I think that their guilty plea was important for the victims to hear that he was accepting accountability and responsibility for the acts that he did to them.
Field did not speak except to admit guilt to the charges against him at the hearing presided over by Judge Paul Crowley.
I think he's a coward. He wouldn't stand up and say it. He talked to his lawyer. And if there was ever a time for somebody to stand up and say they were sorry and to acknowledge what they'd done, this would be the time to do it.
Mr. Field, my son, did not rape anyone. That was a consensual affair. It occurred twice in 2 different places, once in her apartment and once in the hospital. A consensual affair. It was not rape. She's a very good actress. I don't think there were many. I think there was only one. I think it was Alan. And I think all the rest were all otherwise.
So there's nothing you can say to the victims, all these women, these 12 women in court today.
I know that, but there's a lot of money involved here, and I think a lot of people are in there for the money. I'm sorry to say it.
Dwayne Francis, Chief Executive Officer for the Medical Center, did not attend the court proceedings, and he opted to have a spokesperson answer our questions. Richard Baltus, Director of Public Relations and Marketing, spoke to SalemNews.com via telephone exclusively after the sentencing.
In general, we're pleased that the criminal proceedings against Dr. Field have come to an end with the result of not only it's appropriate for the despicable nature of his crimes, but also spares his victims from having to relive them in court.
The civil trial is expected to begin in about a year, and Kafori's law team is seeking $14 million or more in damages from the hospital for pain and suffering on behalf of his clients. Hospital administrators were allegedly advised of Field's criminal behavior in 2008, but failed to act. The next 3 years put many women in the position of being victimized by Dr. Field.
There are women out there who have a story to tell, who are reluctant to step forward. And if there are women who believe that he should serve even longer and they know what he did to them, they need to search their consciences and find the courage to do what these other women have done.
All of the crimes did not take place at the hospital itself. The admitted rapist allegedly took at least one of his victims to a house used by visiting doctors and those on call. In remote Afghanistan, the Taliban and Russian soldiers were well known to use rape rooms as part of their torture of the locals. Being drugged and trapped with a rapist behind closed doors in the Dalles, Oregon, is no less torture, regardless of the geography. What would you say to the women in Wasco County to give them the confidence that the medical center is a safe place to be and is watching out for their well-being?
Well, I will say that we have reviewed every single one of our policies in regard to patient safety to ensure that we are continuing to provide the safest possible environment for our patients, and I'm confident that we are. This was a single individual determined to do harm, and certainly our hearts go out to his victims, but his despicable actions, they don't define our organization or what we're all about. We are confident we have always had the proper safety measures in place. He was just determined to do harm, and sometimes there's not anything you can do about that.
Have all of the cases that he worked on, have they all been reviewed? Do you have any clue?
No, I can't answer that.
Okay.
I certainly, as soon as we had the information we could to go to the police, we immediately went to the police with that. I can't really elaborate on that, but it's certainly not a case of us ignoring accusations ever. You know, MCMC is not some giant faceless corporation. It's the largest employer in town, and as such, it's a microcosm of this community. So we're confident when people put a face on MCMC, it's going to be the face of their neighbor or friends or family members. It's not going to be the face of Fred Fields.
The hospital is in the bunker. All of its administrators are in a bunker. They talk through counsel, and we're going to pry the lid off the bunker, and we're going to make them all talk under oath and produce every document. And we promised today to this community that they would have a trial. And all those who knew about what this man was doing, all those who concealed it, will have to face the community under oath in a courtroom.
Dr. Frederick Field was taken into custody and transported to the regional jail, then readied for prison.
He will not take a breath of fresh air for the next 23 years. That is an absolute certainty.
In the Dalles, Oregon, I'm Bonnie King for SalemNews.com.